car is not just a medium to travel from place A to B. It is part of your being. It is your statement. It is also your second home for a lot of people. Myth that I have broken in my own head that English is the language for posh brands. It is not true at all.
This is Devlina welcoming you all to the brand new episode of Icons Behind Brand video interview series Back to Basics in the Time of Uncertainty, where we are going to have a conversation with some of the leading minds in business. And today I have got a privilege to sit with one of the stalwarts of the industry, Mr. Tarun Jha, who is the head of marketing at Skoda Auto India. He has been associated with the brand since 2000. He has worked with companies like Mudra Communication and Ogilvy and Mathur, and later he worked in Mahindra and Mahindra. He lives in Mumbai with his wife, who is a brand strategist, and two of his daughters. A warm welcome to you, Tarun.
Thank you so much, Devlina. Very, very kind of you to have given such a lengthy introduction to me. Thank you.
Pleasure is all ours, Tarun. I felt this is also less. So I felt it's our privilege to have you on board for the interview series Back to Basics. So our viewers would love to know about your journey, been working with one of the top auto brands globally.
Okay, so like you mentioned, Devlina, I started my life actually in advertising. I'm not a person born in the automotive industry. I started in advertising when I was in consumer durables and white goods, and it was, as happens to a lot of us, quite by fate that I landed up in Mahindra and Mahindra, which was the beginning of my automotive journey. I had spent 3 lovely years in Mahindra, learned a lot, and that is the place where I fell in love, the business of automotive. And after 3 lovely years in Mahindra, I joined Skoda Auto India, and when I joined this place, I used to report to the then director sales and marketing, and my responsibilities were marketing, communications, events, and digital was coming up slowly and steadily way back in 2008 I'm talking about. So started there, did some very interesting work for 3.5 years, launched a few cars, and then in early 2012 there was a new team being formed at our headquarters in Prague, and I was selected to be part of that team, which was an international marketing team. They wanted people with experience in diverse countries and environments, and I was chosen simply because I came with a background of working in a developing market. So my headquarters believed that I could contribute because we had a lot of new markets here in the portfolio globally. So that's where my journey started at our headquarters in an absolutely lovely city called Prague in Czech Republic, which in my opinion is possibly the most beautiful city in the world. It looks like a city which was created as a movie set which was never dismantled over time. Over 1100 years of art and architecture is so beautifully preserved. At headquarters, I was part of the international marketing team as a marketing consultant. I had the good fortune of working across multiple markets and with multiple countries like Australia, New Zealand, China, of course India, countries in the Middle East, countries in North Africa, and also Northern Europe. So if you see, it's a very wide spectrum of markets, from the extremely well-developed markets to certain countries which are very fledgling when it comes to automotive as such, and certain markets which lay in between in this development of automotive as a business. That is a brilliant opportunity to learn how the world works, because one country is absolutely different from another in terms of the customers, their behavior, their requirements, their needs when it comes to automotive, the types of cars that are sold there, types of media that is consumed. Customer journeys are different in various countries. Of course, in the last few years, it's become a little more uniform, but then it was quite different. That was a brilliant opportunity to know people and work across geographies. And then in year 2015, I came back to India with a slightly wider portfolio in terms of work as head of marketing, where I'm now responsible for product marketing, communications, retail marketing, digital, customer experience management, events, basically all the elements that go into marketing. I'm responsible for that. So that has been my journey in the automotive.
It's beautifully articulated. I think it's a wonderful mix of wide culture, global market, and wide marketing portfolio. And moving on, what is the biggest change the way consumers approach your segments today versus couple of years back?
That's very right. This pandemic situation has changed a lot in our business and in the way customers react and behave. Now, customers are actually exercising great caution while buying a car or upgrading, and they're also delaying their decisions sometimes because people have suddenly become very careful and cautious, and for a good reason, because there has been a bit of distress when it comes to finances. Also, people have been a little uncertain about their jobs, their careers, their businesses. A lot of people have decided to hold on and not buy a car at all. Or people are now going to buy used cars thinking they will use it for a couple of years till the situation improves and then go for a new car. People are not willing to commit a large amount of money into buying a car, no matter how much you love a car. And a car is a very emotional buy. Pragmatism also is very important with your finances. And there are other important things. People are keeping money aside just in case there's a medical emergency or just in case there's a career emergency, which is why this is not general behavior. This is how a few of our customers are behaving currently. What customers are also doing is they are now somehow looking for better value for money. So they're also looking for cars which are smaller. Some customers are looking for cars which are safer. Customers are looking at better deals, better financial offers, value additions, buyback schemes, leasing. Because if you use a car for a limited time, then some of the customers say, do I need to buy a car at all? Or do I just make use with app-based taxi services like an Ola or an Uber? This is the change that we've observed over the last, let's say, 15 or 16 months ever since the pandemic came in. Unfortunately, the second wave came and changed things a bit. So that is the change we've observed. And one of the most subtle but big changes that we as marketeers have observed, that not many customers are actually going to showrooms or workshops. People are scared stepping out of their homes or going to crowded places. So interaction with the brand and with the dealers for sales and after sales has increased dramatically on electronically, that is, through using the internet, for instance, using phones, for instance, using video chats, for instance. So the intervention of technology and the incidences of usage have gone up dramatically.
So if I have to summarize it, the consumer's concerns has moved from the social and financial security to more value for money approach. When the market opens up, what would be your major focus area in terms of marketing strategy going forward?
We have already been working, and I'm not talking only for my brand. I'm talking across the industry. All the OEMs are currently prepared to handle the change and when markets open up and all those things. So what's happening is, in terms of marketing strategy, companies have become digital first. We are trying to rely less and less on the physical aspect of business, although we know it's a very important aspect of business. But till the time all of us get vaccinated and things are again normal and people feel safe, we will have to live with it, like it or not. So which is the reason why, in terms of communications also, it is these conveniences that we have brought into our business which are being communicated. The other thing is that launches which were delayed or which were postponed will now happen again. So most of the brands will communicate the new products which are on offer, because let's not forget that automotive is a very emotional business also. You buy a car for a reason, and a lot of times, no matter how much of rationalization you might want to bring in, there is this lot of emotion which is attached to it. And you can't take that away. A car is not just a medium to travel from place A to B. It is part of your being. It is your statement. It is also your second home for a lot of people. It is a place where you gather as a family and friends and celebrate. It's almost like your second home. Okay, all those aspects have to be communicated and have to be revived again, which is something which I've been holding back for the time being. So, and that is what the marketing strategy would be. And again, like I mentioned, that the importance of technology and the convenience that technology brings in will be a strong focus of our marketing strategy for our customers.
So as you said, it is our second home. So especially when I stay in Bangalore, so car has become my first home. What are the big challenges you see coming your way in next 12 months?
It is going to be challenging for most of us. I cannot deny that. The first challenge itself is that the economy has to revive again. I mean, that's a major challenge. We alone can't do it. It's a macro factor. That is one challenge. The economy has to come back on tracks. Then customer sentiment has to change. It's currently not very positive. That's a major challenge that we have to overcome. Physical movement has to be restored again. That's another challenge. Then the fear that people have in their minds and that has to, and the doom, the feeling of doom, that's another challenge for us. Then certain things which are more global in nature, like the global trade has to improve, global movement of goods and services has to improve, exchange rates have to stabilize. These are the key challenges that we will face. Some are very intrinsic to our country, some are very global in nature, but these are the challenges which are going to affect our business.
So with that, I would like to know, how are you engaging your customers, offline or digitally? If you can help us with 2 to 3 examples which you have implemented.
Yeah, so I'll tell you something. Physical engagement right now is very limited. For the last 15 months or so, not many of my customers have actually come to the showrooms or workshops. Because like I mentioned, because the situation was not conducive, there was fear of safety because of the infection. But what we've done is we have increased and improved our interaction with our customers online, virtually. So and we have done a lot. We have built certain tools, we have changed our processes to match this. For instance, I'll give you a few examples of what we've done recently. We have, one of the first in the industry from brand Skoda to start online bookings of cars. Customers who don't want to come to the showroom, they can stay home and pay online. So www.buyskoda online is a website which we started last year around the Auto Expo, where people could come and book their cars. Of course, the delivery and the latter part of it happens physically because most customers still like to go to a showroom, look at the car. It's a very touch and feel category which you cannot deny. So one was that. The second thing we did was, since customers were not willing to come to showrooms, we thought, why not take the showrooms to their homes? And that's where we started contactless virtual demo, where you can stay at home and using your device like a phone or a tablet, you can talk to my sales consultant who's at the dealership, who will take you through the entire car, who will do the entire demo. He will answer all your questions and queries and doubts virtually. So you have a person on the other side, but you're not exposing yourself to the external environment. You can sit at home and get a full demo of the car, understand the car, and then take the next step, whether you want to take a test drive, want to book it or not. So that is a convenience that we built. The third thing that we did also for improving customer interactions and all that is we started offering a lot of our after sales services again online. Using the app or using the website, you could do everything from booking a service to actually buying service packages, staying at home, because that is the need of the hour. And we've been communicating with our customers continuously, from as simple as requesting them to stay home and stay safe to giving them car care tips, how to keep their car, because most of the cars are standing still and not moving. Yes. So how to take care of that. We had a program for our doctor customers so that they are not stuck in a place. So special service, camps for our doctor customers so that they are mobile. Healthcare workers are important. And apart from that, a whole lot of CSR initiatives that the company has done. So we've been continuously in touch with our customers, and we also did certain things to keep them entertained. For instance, last day we had a little contest for the customers' children to, paint a car and submit their entries and win prizes. Something simple as that, which keeps you engaged. So we've done a lot, actually.
So beautifully explained. So I think being relevant with their emotions and concern, it's very important to create the simple touch points and communications with the consumers to keep the engagement alive. As we know that as a head of marketing, you are given a lot of power, and every power comes with a lot of responsibility. What is the biggest risk you have taken as a head of marketing, which got totally paid off?
A few years back, we were a very niche brand, largely selling in metros and big cities, and our presence in smaller towns across the country was still limited. Today, it is much better. In the future, it will be far bigger than this. We were a very metro-centric, very urban brand, which is why most of our communications used to be in English. So that was a big step that we took. We can call it a risk because I was not sure. I was absolutely unsure. If I start communicating in regional languages, does my brand look less desirable? It happens. This is the ego of a brand or the ego of a brand manager. We believe if we communicate in English, then the brand looks more posh, looks more urbane, looks more desirable and out of reach. So I took that risk. I said, that's not true actually. We are most comfortable in our own mother tongues, in our own languages. And I am a person who loves languages because I speak a few languages and dialects. So we took that risk and got into regional language communications, with great trepidation. But I can tell you that risk has completely and totally paid off, because today my levels of engagement with my customers, which are spread across the country, is much deeper and more meaningful because I am speaking to them in their language. The brand has come so much more closer to them. And it is a myth that I have broken in my own head that English is the language for posh brands. It is not true at all. It is absolutely not true. So that was a risk, but it has paid off.
What got you hooked to this domain among all other domains out there?
Because I started my life in advertising, I have actually seen and worked across a lot of industries. My clients, not personally, but I had exposure to multiple industries, from technology to consumer durables, to FMCG, to financial institutions and all those things. When I came into automotive and I got this experience, I found it to be an industry and a business which is very alive and very human. Plus, it's very, very dynamic. Now, this is, an anathema because automotive business actually straddles 3 centuries almost, 19th, 20th and 21st. We have designs and practices which are done across 3 centuries. I mean, it's been there for a while. It has evolved. Certain things have changed dramatically. You won't recognize that. Certain things haven't changed at all. The car still runs on 4 wheels. You still hold a steering in your hand. I'm not talking autonomous driving, but yes, that's the truth. The relationship that you have, the passion and emotion that you have for automotive is something which, I thought, what is it that attracts us so much to automotive? It's because, it is a deep-rooted desire of all human beings to be mobile. Have you realized we wouldn't have left Africa, our ancestors that is, if we did not have the desire to be mobile and to discover something? And that is what is fulfilled by the automotive business. Forget basic transportation. This desire to be mobile and discover something and feel that I am free and liberated and I can move is something which keeps our business going. And it is extremely joyful, and that is what keeps me, interested in this domain, and for which I fell in love with this business. But it's very human at the end of the day. It's very high technology, but it is fulfilling a very basic and innate human desire.
Wow, as they say, when you fall in love with your work, it's not work anymore. What do you foresee in terms of market and its new opportunities?
As India develops, we are opening up newer and newer markets, and for a brand like ours also, like I mentioned, we are on an expansion drive. Earlier, we were a very metro and urban-centric brand, but we are expanding rapidly into B and C towns because that is where the demand is coming from now, and that is where the growth is coming from now. Because the cities, the metros are pretty saturated in terms of, practically everybody has a car, so the growth is coming from B and C locations, and that is what we're doing. So it's a very exciting time for the automotive industry in India also. We are the 5th or the 6th largest automotive country in the world, after countries like China, Japan, Germany, US, UK, France. We are always the 5th and 6th biggest. And there is a lot of latent demand from these locations simply because our penetration of automotive is one of the lowest in the world still. So that is also what keeps this, industry on its toes and brings in so much of excitement, because every day newer markets open up for us.
What is the most interesting thing you have done in last 12 months out of your work?
By default, we did not travel much and all that. So what new I have done is something which I always like, and you had mentioned in your introduction also. Somehow I like teaching and mentoring and talking to young people because I end up learning a lot. So what I've done in the last 12 months is I've been part of delivering guest lectures and sessions and talks at some of the best B schools in India, a few outside India, some schools, some NGOs and all that, where I've got a chance to interact with young people, answer their questions and doubts and queries, talk something about the industry, about automotive, about business, about the world at large. And this has been an extremely satisfying thing for me. And I think this is the most interesting thing I've done, is I have kind of found the teacher in me.
So with that, we are moving to a very interesting section, which is the most exciting part, rapid fire round. Yeah, so you have to answer in one word. So one brand which you admire the most other than your own.
Royal Enfield.
One book or podcast you would like to recommend the marketers.
I would recommend marketers read the complete works of William Shakespeare because, all of life's questions and answers are somehow captured in his plays. The complete works of William Shakespeare is what I would recommend.
One of your hidden talent.
I used to be a good singer at a point of time.
One thing that surprises people about.
That I can speak Hindi better than most people they know.
So that's what your command over the literature, your love towards the literature.
I love languages.
Your biggest professional mentor?
Actually, there are lots of them, honestly. Lots of them, but the one person I hold in very high esteem and regard is Mr. Rajesh Jejurikar of Mahindra & Mahindra. I've worked with him, I've seen him, I've learned a lot. So I consider him as kind of my mentor.
What was that something you have done which made you extremely proud?
Well, I think I was the first Asian to get hired at headquarters. So that made me very proud.
Nice to know about a little more about you, Tarun. Our viewers would like to know, as a successful business leader, what is your mantra for success?
So, Devlina, I find it very difficult to define success because it's a very personal thing, Everybody has a different definition of success. For some people, it's monetary success. For some, it's a designation. For some, it's a brand. For some, it's a company. For some, continuing in a job for a long time. For some, changing jobs every 2 years. Everybody defines success very differently. I try not to subscribe to any one of them. For me, success, the way I define it, the way I chase it actually, is does it bring me happiness? Most important, because if I attach my definition of success to physical things, I would be very unhappy, and that is something I don't want to be. For me, very clearly, I am happy, so I think I'm successful.
I love your answer, Tarun. I mean, personally, I literally loved it. Your message to the aspiring marketeers.
I think most important thing, and the most important mantra I can give to aspiring marketeers is try to be a good human being, most important, and be honest. Honest in your dealings, honest in your speech, honest in your beliefs, honest in your work, because that is something which nobody can take away from. So I think that is the best policy.
As rightly said, you cannot buy authenticity and you cannot mask honesty. It was incredible having you, Tarun. I mean, one of the best conversations so far, and I have got amazing key insights from you, and I'm going to see this recording again and again. There are a lot to learn from you, I felt. So thank you so much for your time.
Absolute pleasure talking to you, Devlina, and best of luck to you on your work also. Be happy, keep smiling.
Thank you so much.